Hi, I'm Molly with Molly Q Creates, and I want to thank you for watching my presentation and for being here for the live. I wanted to show you, this is the card that I made. So it pops out, so it stays flat, and then it has 3 levels, well, I guess 2 levels that pop out, and then you can create a scene on it. So that is the card. We're using the Cricut print and cut. And so I did provide a file with these animals. You will need to resize it, as it says in the video, to make it to the proportion for the card. And I also have the PDF file so that if you didn't use the Cricut print and cut, you can still fussy cut them and create the card. So I hope you like this card. I think it adds a fun dimension, and it's nice that it just mails flat. So, all right, to start with your questions, what inspired you to make a pop-up card? I like adding a lot of dimension to cards. I don't like flat cards. I mean, I do make a lot of flat cards, but I just think having that little pop of fun. I do a lot of shaker cards, and so I just like to add dimension. I've also done like the simple pop-ups, which is more like the square base you put in there, and then you have the piece that floats, and the wobbles, which is the spring. So I just think it's a fun way of adding that little extra something to a card. Oh, you're welcome for the different card designs for cutting machines. Yes, I know that not everybody has the Cricut and the Silhouette, and then also the PDF. So if you wanted to fussy cut it. So I do like to make it available for everyone. Yeah, there are a lot of different possibilities, like with graduation, wedding, just even like the simple scene. You could even do it the opposite way, where you have stuff coming down from it. So you just have to make sure that the base is going to be at a big enough angle. Whoops, that's going to support it. But yeah, you don't even have to think of it this way going up. You can also turn it upside down. Crafts that don't use paper. Yeah, there's a lot of crafts. I've gotten into epoxy. So one of the things I want to do is like epoxy coasters with glitter in there, or even pictures. My main thing is, like, I've always been a scrapbooker, and I've gotten into card making in the past maybe 5-6 years, because it's a great way of using up the scraps from scrapbooking, and a lot of the skills and techniques transition. And also with card making, I feel like you can do more techniques than you can with scrapbooking, because with scrapbooking, you're always kind of worried about preserving, making sure everything is acid free, and that, you're going to preserve the memories on the photos. With card making, it's a little bit more free form. So, but as far as some other crafts, I like making t-shirts using vinyl, wall hangings with vinyls. Let's see. Do you glue this to a card base? No, I use this as the card base, but if you wanted to have a panel, I would just do it. You see where the fold is? You could put an extra panel on here, but I just use this as a card base because it would need to fold in order to have the scene. If you wanted to write a message, you could either write it on the back or put another panel on here. And if I was using this for a Christmas card, what I might do is have a photo on half of it. I don't know if you can see where that fold is. I would put a photo on half, and then maybe like a very brief letter, maybe like some bullet points for the year, a very brief letter, and then sign the other half. So you can see where it folds. You don't want to interrupt the fold, but I would put something on the back, and I'd probably just print it out separately and attach it to the back of the card. I have the Cricut Maker, so I have not tried the Joy. So I honestly can't tell you the dimensions for the Joy. I think the Joy Extra, I don't believe that you could probably get this to work for the Joy, but you would probably have to hand cut. I guess these strips would cut on the Joy, but maybe this background piece, I guess maybe everything would be able to cut with the Joy. I guess I haven't really looked at the dimensions for the Joy Extra. Everything should be fine with that. But I have the Maker, so I guess that's something that I haven't really tried with the other ones. My design style, that's a good question. That's hard. I'd like to say that I'm more simple. However, I just did a layout that became very elaborate. So I like to layer things. I like it to all kind of come together and be aesthetic. I'd like to say that I'm more of a minimalist, but it never turns out that way. But I'd like to say that it's fun with a touch of sophistication to it. I don't know if that's really a design style, but that's kind of how I would describe it, as fun with a touch of sophistication. Let me see. Okay, so one of the biggest differences that I think I've dealt with lately over the past like year or two is that with card making, it's kind of, it seems simpler. And I don't want to say that it seems simpler because I'm not simplifying at all. With scrapbooking, it seems like a bigger project, and that like it takes me 2 to 3 hours to do a scrapbook layout because it's basically trying to be immortalized forever. And so then it's like, it needs to be perfect. And I need the right papers and the right, the placement of everything. And with a card, it's like something you can mail off and be done with. Like, so you can create a card, and then like the second time I make this, I might change it up a little bit more. And so you might fine tune it each time you go. But with a scrapbook layout, once you scrapbook like a birthday, you're typically not going to go back and scrapbook that birthday again. There will be other birthdays, there'll be other events. So it's more of, I get into the perfectionistic mode. And so with scrapbooking, it's more of like trying to keep it perfect because it's going to be in the albums and it's going to be there for years and years to come. Where a card, you mail it off, you keep it, you show it off, but it doesn't seem to have that sentimental connection like a scrapbook does. Excuse me. So I find that with card making, it's just a little bit more free form in that way. Is there a technique you've tried that you've really disliked? Yes. Excuse me. I've tried the smashing technique where you take like a silicone mat or like some plastic and you put ink pad in there. You put some ink and you spritz it with water, and then you smash your paper into it. I've seen people create really cool backgrounds using it. Whenever I create a background, it looks like mud, or it just doesn't have that same look that I'm going for. So I guess that is one that I'm not very fond of. I also find that I make like way too much of a mess doing that. I have done folios. So what I mean by folio is this one I'm going to show you. This is not one that I put it together, but actually the owner of Uniquely Creative created this. So I would do this more of like a card, so it, you have your place for photos and journaling. But it is, you could still mail it. It's more of a larger size card, I guess. So it kind of falls between the card making and the scrapbooking. So I would do folios as like a greeting card, I guess, like a more elaborate one, I guess. I saw a question about I guess I already answered that one. Do you glue it to a card base? So I was going to say a couple other, we were talking about adding dimension to cards. Oh, how often do you craft? Couple times a week. I do a lot of samples. I vendor at a lot of, at several scrapbook conventions. So I'm always trying to update samples and show people how to use the product. I'm also working on developing different tutorials for my blog. So I do try to actually craft like at least 2-3 times a week. And I also know that like once I start, then I'm crafting for, an hour or 2 or 3. So I just have to make sure that, to set that time aside. But once I get started, it's, it's just so much fun. And then it's fun to see where the project goes off to, because I always start with something in mind and then it takes its own direction. Yes, I do have a couple other cards. This is a shaker card. So this one uses a shaker cover. So you just wrap the shaker cover around a piece of cardstock, and then you can fill it with shaker pieces. So this this comes from dies from Concord and Knight, so it's not my design. This is another shaker card. Again, the background stencil is an Emily Moore design, and then the rest is lawn fawn. So, but again, it's a shaker card. Let's see. Here's another form of dimensional card, what I was mentioning before. This one might be harder to see. But it has like the squares on the back. So when you mail it, it's flat, but then it kind of pops up. Let me see. Here's one that is something that I designed. Again, it's a shaker card of a potion bottle. So I did this as a Halloween card. And another. So again, that's like the shaker card in there. And then the inside, it says "To the Moon and Back." And so I guess, yes, I have a ton of shaker cards to show. It's moving away from, do you feel card crafting is moving away from stamping and more so into printed embellishments? I would say no. And the reason I'm saying that is just because of the wide variety of dyes and stamps and inks on the market. I swear every time I look around, Simon Hurley just released a new, his ink formula is the same, but he released a different type of ink pad using the formula. There's just so many out there. I think people are more transitioning. I do see it using the printed on cards, but I don't think that it's taking the place of cards. I think inking, ink blending, coloring with different inks, using inks more, I've seen that become much more prevalent than I do seeing the embellishments on cards. I do see a lot of, like with scrapbooking kits, you get the sheet that has a 3x4 elements. I've seen a lot more cards, like card bases that fit those easily. So it is a nice, quick card to make. That is also fun and interactive. I've seen a lot of different uses for those. But I don't think that it's taking the place of it. What's my favorite tool? I guess it's a tie between the Cricut and my die cut machine. I use the Cricut a lot, but I tend to use it more for like backgrounds and bases. I like the print and cut feature because then you can still get like the, I don't want to say three-dimensional, but you can get the colored on there. But I do a lot of die cutting too. I guess the other thing with the Cricut is like a card like this, I can cut out the shape and then I can also create it out as a window so I can get the dimension there. So I like that with the Cricut, but there are just so many fun dies on the market that I love my die cut machine. Yes, I do love the Better Press. It has such an elegant look to it. So yes, I do love using that. I don't have any samples of that. It's one of those between that and the Glimmer machine. I have them and then I kind of forget to use them. And then once I use it again, I'm just like completely amazed at how great that they look. Especially the Better Press is so easy to create that look and to use it. Yes, I do like embossing folders. It just creates a fun background. The other thing that I have used with besides embossing folders is, I think they're called the cover plates. I've seen more of them where it's a die, but it's all over the back, you know, so it's like an all over, like an A2 size card. And then it has a die that doesn't cut out, but it like pierces through it to create the design. Those also make really fun backgrounds. I just got the color cubes, and so I've not made anything with them, but I have loved going through the pictures and the different color combinations. So that stirs up like a whole ton of ideas to use with those. So no, I've honestly not used them, but I've had them for about a week. So, and I have looked through them and I can't wait to use them because picking colors is one of the hardest things for me. I use a lot of Catherine Pooler inks, and so I love her color wheel. And so that helps, but yeah, just finding the right color combination. Yes, it's nice to control the confetti in the shaker card. And once you use shaker covers, they are so easy to use. Shaker covers make it so much easier to do a shaker card. And I can, all right. Thank you everyone for joining me and for asking all of these questions. So I hope it was helpful for you. And if you have any more questions, just make sure you tag me in the Facebook group. Thank you so much. And like I said, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out. And I appreciate you taking the time to watch my video, to watch this live and my presentation. Thank you.